Peace, 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 family. It feels good to be back on the Revolutionary Wealth Builders channel, where we bring wealth education to the people. I really appreciate all of our new subscribers, and I appreciate you guys being patient with us as we had to step back for a second and regroup. We had some challenges and some things and some needs that we felt like that we needed to meet as it relates to our families. And so we had to take a break from delivering some great content here on YouTube for you guys. But we are back, and we appreciate you guys for being patient. Like, subscribe for us, please, and share this video. Today's video topic is going to be, this is a very important time in history. Are you prepared? So a few months back, we'll just get started. So a few months back, I discussed the importance of finding a soft spot during these challenging times. And I explained that there would be a soft spot in between all of these issues and challenges that we were having with supply chain disruptions, long lines, and all of the other challenges that has come with this pandemic, and that has come with the millions of people being unemployed throughout the country. So what I want everybody to understand right now is that we are in that soft spot. If you remember, a couple of months ago, there were long lines at some of our most famous big box department stores, some of our membership partners, some of our membership department stores, long lines. There were things that were closed down, and there were supplies that we did not have access to for an extended period of time, to the point where we were concerned and we were worried as to when we would have access to these tools, supplies, and opportunities again. Well, right now at this moment, you have access to all of those things, no long lines, with an opportunity to restock and retool as it relates to all of your preps and all of the things that you will need to move forward. Why is it important for us to have this conversation right now? Because I think we've grown complacent. I think we believe that we are moving towards a new normal, but in reality, this is nothing more than a valley from our peak as it relates to the inception of the pandemic and the civil unrest. We are in a valley now, a calm before the storm is headed towards us again. How do I know this? And why is this my position? I'm going to explain all of that to you. I have 6 reasons why I believe we will revisit supply chain shortages, civil unrest, and a multitude of other challenges that would put us in that should lead you to believe that right now is the time for you to restock your preps, add to your food reserve, get all of the things that you believe are important to you and your family to survive a challenging period of time that I believe will be coming in the near future. And I'm going to talk about some very important dates or some very important spaces in time where you will need to be on the lookout for some specific changes in how we are doing business here in America. So let's get right to why I believe it is time right now. This is an important time in history for you to restock, retool your preps, get all of the things you need. If you believe you are low on ammunition, if you are low on food, if you are low on water, if you are low on any type of preps that we've talked about throughout this course in time, the things that will be the new wealth. This is the Revolutionary Wealth Builders channel. And so the new wealth, when there are a shortage of things, will always be those things that can get you through the day or get you through the week or get you through the month safely and comfortably that most people may not have access to. Those things become wealth during challenging times and times of calamity. Okay, so let's get right into it. So reason number 1 why I believe that this is only a soft spot or a valley in a more profound timeline of challenges that is to come. Number 1, the short-term debt cycle. We are in a short-term debt cycle. The last recession that we had was in 2008, 2009, Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, when the housing market collapsed because of collateralized debt obligations. typically you should have a recession in this type of Keynesian economy every 5 to 8, 9 years or so. We are well beyond the point of a regular, normal, short-term debt cycle recession. We are beyond that point. We are far beyond that point. Number two, the long-term debt cycle. Long-term debt cycles are every 75 to 100 years. The interesting thing is that we are in the midst of, on the cusp of a short-term debt cycle and a long-term debt cycle at the same time. The last true long-term debt cycle hit was around the Great Depression, so 1930-ish. We're about 90 years in, so we are due for a long-term debt cycle correction. And so that's essentially where debt corrects itself. The country is over-leveraged. Private citizens are over-leveraged. Corporations are over-leveraged. Everybody is owing debt. And when people are challenged and they are no longer in a position to service that debt, the dominoes will begin to fall. And so that's the third reason why I believe that we will see more challenges in the future, and why this point in time in history is very important, because all the things that we need are available again. So everybody follow me so far? And so no, that's number two. But number three is the over-leveraging of our society, which I just talked about. But that's simply the 26 trillion United States owes, the over $1 trillion in student debt, the billions of dollars in home loan debt, the billions of dollars in auto loan debt, the trillions of dollars in credit card debt. All of these things, these chickens are coming home to roost. And if when we are in a position where we can no longer service that debt, all of those things will fall like dominoes, like a house of cards. That will put an immense amount of pressure on all of the lending institutions that loan that money out, which in turn will put people in a position where they can't borrow. And then the list of the litany of issues and challenges beyond that can go on and on. Number four, the dollar life cycle. As you know, the United States dollar is the world reserve currency, and the world reserve, every country who has been privileged to have world reserve currency status, they always debase their currency in some way, shape, or fashion, meaning they overprint and then they render the money powerless. The purchasing power leaves the money. We are in that space with the United States dollar. It is getting very close to having no more purchasing power left. And we are at the end of the world reserve currency cycle for it. Typically, it's 80 to 100 years. We've had world reserve currency status for some time now, and we are running low as it relates to being the world reserve currency. Number five, China and the trade war with China. We are having issues and challenges with China, and there is an undercurrent of tension where there's been a breakdown in our trade and communication with China. There are a multitude of other things going on behind the scenes that we know that we don't completely understand. Like I think the Chinese consulate here in the United States has been closed, and amongst other things. So it appears that all of those goods that China used to send over to the United States at some point in time, some of them may still be being shipped, but at some point in time, we will experience severe supply chain disruptions, meaning we will have dollars to purchase these things, but there won't be things to purchase. So that's another reason why I think it's important right now to take control of your destiny and make certain that you are ahead of the curve as it relates to taking advantage of this particular moment in history. You're going to look back on today and say, I should have did this. I should have done this. I should have protected my assets better. I should have accumulated more food. I should have accumulated more tools, and I didn't do it. You don't want to be in that position. The time is now. You must do that. And then the final thing as a bonus is the CV-19 pandemic. Because there are still some unknowns there, we have to be cognizant of the reality that it could resurface or it could be re-injected into the population to where things get shut down and closed again to where we don't have access to the supplies and the things that we need to live normal lives. So right now is an important time in history. We have experienced a soft spot in this particular timeline of events, and we have access to the things that we need and opportunity, and we need to seize that. So when I was talking about the soft spot, one of the things, the reason why I believe that this is only the beginning of more challenging times, there are 7 things that I think that we need to look at as it relates to why for the next 5 to 10 years, we need to have our head on a swivel and be hyper vigilant in protecting our home, our families, protecting our wealth, and protecting the things that we need to live a comfortable lifestyle or to keep our quality of living somewhat normal and manageable in the upcoming years between the next 5 to 10 years. Number 1, I already discussed it, CV-19. We still don't necessarily know how it may resurface or if it may resurface. So it's something that we have to prepare for, because if it's anything like the first time, which I think is going to be different because now I guess they quote unquote have testing sites and we kind of understand what it is and we kind of understand how it operates. But you have to remember that we're dealing with some other unknowns as it relates to the possibility of human beings being deliberately exposing other human beings. So we have to be on the lookout for the unknown. And so I'm going to leave that there. Number 2 is civil unrest. Civil unrest will continue to be at the forefront of our social dynamics and interaction as it relates to race in America, as it relates to high amounts of unemployment in America, unfair treatment, unfair practices, bias within the court systems and within the legal system, and untrained, unskilled, and evil behaving law enforcement officers. So these things will continue to resurface, and we have to understand that as well. And at any moment in time, an incident can break out and calamity can ensue. So we have to take that into account as well. This is not just about racial inequality. It's also about wealth inequality. It is also a multitude of other issues and challenges. And the reason why I say that is that some of the people who are coming to the forefront of the issues are not necessarily victims of the challenges that challenge people of African descent. So they have their own set of issues. And while they may collaborate or partner with people of African descent to rain down an expectation on the administrators of the United States of America, they still have their own set of issues and challenges that have them boiling on the inside. So it's not just about racial inequality. And the reason, and that's very important to understand, because there are going to be some people that some of us may protest with side by side that have completely different issues, but are going to ride the coattail of your issue so they can vent their anger and frustration toward the administrative leadership throughout cities, states, and throughout the country. So it's important to understand that. Number 3, unemployment. The unemployment rate will continue to rise. We are looking at white collar unemployment rates rising now, but as things close again, unemployment will rear its ugly head again, and it will have a profound impact on the citizens' ability to pay their bills. And as credit begins to be defaulted upon, mortgages, rent, and things like that, that will impact the owners of those properties, the banks that lend, and all of the other lending institutions and credit issuers, which will put a heavy burden on the economy as a whole. Number 4, the reduction in government help. The government will reel back the amount of help that they are providing to the people. And I don't know when that's going to happen. They may institute universal basic income, but even if that happens, the purchasing power of the dollar will continue to diminish. And so you won't be able to buy much with it, which it still will create lifestyle quality issues for those who are unemployed and those who are not prepared. These are just the facts. And I just want to support my argument with real information so you will understand that I'm not just telling you to do something just to do it. There are reasons why I'm saying what I'm saying. which brings me to number 5, the supply chain disruptions. Again, like I talked about with our issues and challenges with China, it is going to be important to understand that you may get a universal basic income check, but you won't be able to buy anything with it because there won't be anything being sent here from China for us to buy. And we're not producing anything in America. The only thing that America produces is paper dollars. And so when everyone has a boatload of paper dollars and they don't have anything that they can buy with them, you can't eat the paper dollars. So it's important for you to utilize this particular point in time, this point in history, to restock and retool your reserves of food, water, energy, safety, community, barterability, and all of the other things that will be important when we get into a more challenging period of time that is in front of us. So the next number 6 is debt defaults. We talked about that already. The credit cards will be defaulted on because of the unemployment. If you have the money to pay, you just don't have the money to service the debt. And that's just the bottom line. So the credit cards will be defaulted on. The cars will be defaulted on and repossessed. The homes will be defaulted on. The rent won't be paid. And the owners of these properties who have mortgages won't be able to pay the mortgages, which brings me to number 7, a housing crisis. A lot of the real estate agents like to be optimistic. They don't look at the macroeconomic data, but the reality is people are not paying their rent. People are defaulting on their mortgages, and people are asking for deferments and won't be able to pay those mortgages later. So that is going to morph, or it's going to morph into some form of a housing crisis at some point. And so we have to understand these things. And so what can you do? Food, water, energy, barterability, community, safety. All of these things are very, very, very important. Retool, restock all of your reserves, get into real hard assets, pay off as much of your debt that you can that could be taken from you. The assets that can be, the hard assets that can be taken from you that you have loans on, try to pay that down. Make sure that your mortgages, if you decide to get one in the near future, is not an adjustable rate mortgage, that it is a fixed rate mortgage, so you can leverage these low interest rates and maybe come out on the other side. And that is provided if you will be able to continue to service that loan. So I'm going to repeat the solutions one more time. Food, water, shelter, energy, barterability, safety, community. These are all the most important things, and these are the things that will be wealth moving forward. 3 important periods of time that you need periods in time that you need to pay very close attention to. The return of the school year. Pay very close attention if most states decide not to allow public school students to go back to school. That's going to be a very important period in time where you can kind of understand or ascertain what possibly could be on the horizon based on the decision makers and administrators in these cities, counties, states, and around the country. What decisions are they making around allowing kids to go back to school? Number 1. Number 2, the election in November. Pay very close attention to what direction the election is going in, what the information that is coming out of each state as it relates to the Electoral College. Pay very close attention to what people are saying. Pay very close attention to what people are prognosticating. What are they estimating? What do they think is going to happen? And then understand what could take place based on the Democratic nominated candidate coming into office or the Republican, the incumbent maintaining the office. So understand what possibly can happen in both scenarios and kind of try to understand where you fall on the greater scheme of making sure that you are prepared for your family. And then the third particular important period in time, and then we're going to close this out at about 20 minutes, is the holiday season. What does is the federal government sending out more stimulus? Is there universal basic income at this time? Do they want us to activate the economy by giving us free stuff so we can spend that money to keep the velocity of the money within the economy going? If they start to say, we're giving away more money right before the holiday season, that should be cause for concern. I know that as people, our first inclination is to accept the money and spend it. I'm not telling you not to accept it. I am telling you not to spend it on things that are not hard assets that will not be a benefit to your family moving forward. So I'm going to cut the video here at about 20 minutes, 30 seconds. Peace and love. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video. This is the Revolutionary Wealth Builders channel, bringing wealth education to the people. Peace and love, and I'll talk to you next time.